May only the truth be spoken and only the truth be heard. In the name of God, source of all being, living, risen one, and spirit of life. Amen.
Amen.
That is Lochanan Cor. That's Gaelic for the little lake of dead people. I know, I think it sounds better in Gaelic too. Why is it called that? Because it is filled with the bones of my ancestors. The story goes that in the early 1600s, my clan were traveling to a funeral procession in the dead of winter over Ben Ledi, the tallest mountain in Scotland, which you can just see the height of in the background. Midway through their journey, they took a shortcut across this small frozen lake. The ice collapsed, and nearly the entire clan perished. Those who survived were so traumatized by this loss that the remaining Mackisons changed their name to Maxwell, a clan that was as far south and as far away from this tragedy as you could get. Some believe it was because they were afraid that other Scots would think that they were cursed, that no one would do business with them anymore or marry their kin, that they would bear the mark of that tragedy forever. So to put that painful event behind them, they hid themselves in another name. But then something happened. About 3 generations later, my family started changing their names back to Mackison. Some believe that they figured, well, it's been 75 years. Certainly that's long enough, and surely the curse must have been forgotten by now. But you know what I believe? I think that they were yearning for resurrection, that they longed to have their name restored, that they had lived without being named for 3 generations, had lost their identity, and they just wanted everything to be real again. To this day, family historians like myself pass this story down from generation to generation. My children know it by heart, even though they roll their eyes often whenever I tell it. So what evidence do I have that this legendary tragedy struck my family and marked it forever? What proof do I have that changing their name back was about resurrection, was about reclaiming their identity? What proof do I have? Not a shred. Just a story. A story that has been passed on from the first eyewitnesses 400 years ago until now. And yet, that story continues to shape my family's identity in profound ways. Maybe you have a family story like that too, something that has shaped who you are. Even if you don't, I bet you're here today because you hunger for meaning. You long for resurrection. Today, we gather as a community around an event that has changed everything and shaped not only our lives, but the whole human family, especially the lives of every person who confesses that Jesus Christ is risen. Everything the church is, has done, and will be flows from the story that we celebrate today, that has been passed down from generation to generation, the story that Jesus rose from the dead. What evidence do we have that this unprecedented event happened? Not a shred. Just the first eyewitness accounts that have been passed down for 2,000 years until now. And yet, that story continues to shape our identity in ways that we cannot even imagine. But we have to confess that the evidence is a little shaky, right? But that's what increasingly attracts me. Because as my own faith has matured, I have lost my taste for religious claims that are too certain, for people who say that they have it all figured out. And when we look at the Easter story and how the people of God responded to it, they didn't have it all figured out either. Those first eyewitnesses didn't know how to interpret their experience of the resurrection immediately. They had to grapple with what that meant, just as we have to grapple with what resurrection means in our world and in our lives at this very moment. The first gospel, Mark, says that those who witnessed it were too afraid to even share what they had experienced. Luke says they shared what they had seen, but no one believed them. Matthew says that the women who witnessed it while afraid saw the risen Jesus, grabbed hold of him, and didn't want to let go. And in John's gospel that we have just heard, we have the same responses: fear, disbelief, wanting to hold on and to let go to something miraculous that you cannot explain. All those are deeply human responses to an event that was beyond their comprehension or imagining. That actually comforts me. And the reason is because what we do here as church, especially at the Church of the Redeemer, is struggle honestly with the truth, is to grapple with things not the way we want them to be, not the way we wish they were, but as they really are. When we grapple with the resurrection, we don't come with all the answers either. When we proclaim our faith, we do it because we want it to be real in every sense of that word. Even when our faith rests on the words of a few eyewitnesses, even when we don't fully understand what the resurrection meant or will mean in our lives today, even when, in the darkest moments of our faith, this event this resurrection can seem like just an impossible dream. Part of what makes it that way is it's so counterintuitive. It goes against everything that we believe about the frailty and finality of human life. But that's not the point of Easter Day, or why we gather. The resurrection is more than just the mechanics of the transformation from death to life again. When we say Christ is risen, what we mean is that this Jesus, this God in the flesh, who loved and taught and healed, who fought prejudice and fear, that Jesus rose again and walked among his disciples, teaching them how to love one another so that we might know how to love one another. And what we really mean is that until Christ rose again, it was the disciples who were the living dead. They were afraid. They wanted to hide. They were paralyzed in a state of suspended disbelief. But Jesus, returning to them, set them free. The resurrection in our time, in our lives, in this moment, is always an invitation to set us free. Jesus, returning as he promised, gives us all hope to this day and beyond. And it's a testimony based on a few witnesses that is the basis for this hope that we still hold on to this day. In these uncertain times, in this fear-ridden, angry world, your faith, my faith, hangs by this beautiful, simple, wonderful, fragile thread of those who experience something profound, something that so shook them in the slumber of their lives that it changed everything, and they never stopped talking about it. And here we are today, talking about it still. What could be more real than that? Amen.